Hi, my name is Ben Hill. I'm of the Mohawk Nation, Bear Clan. I'm a Cayuga language teacher for adults.
Hi, I'm Bria. I am part of the Oneida Band and Bear Clan.
Hi, I'm Erin.
Hi, I'm Liam. I'm Mohawk and I'm part of Turtle Clan.
Hi, my name is Amber.
My name is Nancy Anderson, and I am from Six Nations, Oneida Clan, and Oneida Tribe, and Turtle Clan. No, it's Bear Clan. Sorry, it used to be Turtle Clan. I just made a boo boo.
So, globalization, um, I feel, in terms of convenience and businesses being able to get product, it's beneficial and convenient, but in terms of the earth, I don't think it's um, I think it's done more harm than good. Um, I don't really know. I haven't been to other countries, but from what I read, hopefully it's accurate what I'm reading. That some countries, in their quest to be really competitive and be the go-to supplier for companies, maybe they're not necessarily thinking of their own environment in creating these products. Maybe they're ended up doing some damage or poisoning their lands and their waters. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I've read and I've seen. And even an example is maybe electric cars. I think the idea is great and reducing emissions. When the product is here, it's good, but from what I understand, where the batteries are made is really bad. There are these pools of chemicals, and it's kind of scary to think of what might be happening to those lands and those people um, who are exposed to those chemicals. So I can see uh, the harm that globalization is causing.
I definitely think that globalization has a negative impact on us and our environment. A big reason for that is our single use of plastic that we use in our everyday life and all the fossil fuels that we burn in our daily transportation.
I think it impacts us negatively because globalization is bad for the environment.
I think that it impacts us negatively because it doesn't allow us to sustain our land.
Okay, so selfishly, obviously, it's nice to have all of your stuff just coming into you. You can go to the grocery store, get whatever you want, like whenever you want, anytime. Like, obviously, that's a nice thing, but realistically, it's quite a negative thing because the impacts on the environment are super bad and, like, eventually, like, we're not gonna have anything because we're ruining the environment. So I think it's quite a negative thing, and we just need to find other ways.
Connectivity, maybe from a social perspective, is not a bad thing, but from an economical or significance of the last few years, I don't think so. I mean, we as Canada, as our own country, I feel that uh, we need some more independence with our country. And if it's referencing from Indigenous perspective, then yeah, I think there's been too much input that worldly from how do I put this, from a global control issue. I don't think is positive at all. So that's the part that I have concerns about.
I think we greatly benefit from sustainable living. I remember when I was growing up in the 80s, it seemed like there was a lot more glass being used, and as long as you take care of glass and clean it, it can last a long time. Make sure it doesn't break. But now I'm seeing a lot of plastic, and then I read about microplastics and it even being in the soil. So then that means it's in our some of the crops we're eating potentially. It's in the river. It's just been breaking down since the 60s, 70s, from what I read. Um, I think it's sustainable living is the way to go, um, and it does make me think back to the past. Um, maybe is less convenient in some of the ways that people could live to be more sustainable, but I do think it's less of a damaging to the environment. So an example of long ago sustainable living, from what I understand, when the natives would harvest a deer, they would use not just the meat, not just the hide for clothing. I know they use the brain in tanning the hide. They use some of the bones for tools. I've even heard of fishing hooks from a certain bone of the deer being made from that. So they were really utilizing a lot of the deer, and then of course the animal would break down, like eventually over time return to the earth kind of thing. So there was no negative impact that I could see on that practice. So that's what I think when I think of sustainable living. Just getting back to practices of the past and maybe slowing down a little bit too.
I do think we would benefit from sustainable living, but it can be a challenge to do it in our everyday lives. But one thing that I try to do all the time is use a reusable water bottle as much as I can, and we try to compost as much as we can, and in the spring and summer we do a fruit and vegetable garden.
I think that we would benefit from sustainable living because it would eliminate single-use plastic.
I think that sustainable living would be beneficial to us because it'd save our wildlife and environments.
Yes, I do think that we could benefit from sustainable living. I just think that the government needs to come up with a plan to enforce it better for everybody, because there's not a lot of options where you can go to a grocery store and buy things with your own bags. Everything comes in plastic, and most of the time it's the plastic and the packaging that costs the most anyways. So it would actually save people more money to be doing that, and we would just make the environment such a better place.
I think that people need to take some responsibility for themselves and their families, of how they live and how they conduct and are respectful to the earth, to ensure that it is its healthiest and most connected to, how people are connected to the earth for the future. We certainly haven't treated from an environmental perspective. Is that where you're going with this, Sarah?
Yeah.
Sustainability that way? Yeah. I think we've been really cruel. Too much industrialization, too much, just for example, use of plastic and things like that. It certainly has impacted the quality of the natural world. So that's definitely something that I know there's been a lot of initiatives, and people have been really creative in trying to maintain our, the healthiness of our world. But it's a difficult thing to educate people. I think from one person, for example, can't really they just feel, well, what difference am I going to make? But it needs to be looked at a different perspective.
Personally, I give thanks to the earth on a daily basis. I kind of tried to learn some of my culture, and that's part of it. It revolves around nature, so I'm aware of different aspects of nature, on the land, trees, animals, waters, all those things. So it's kind of it. That one is always on my mind. But yeah, I give thanks on a daily basis. Um, um, I have planted some trees, and I see that being a really nice thing to do. That's what cleans our air. But where I live, there's a ton of trees. There's no shortage of trees there, and yeah, there's lots of bush. So I just leave them alone, let them do their thing, because they're cleaning the air, they break the wind and everything, provide shade. Those are just things on the surface that we see that they're doing. And yeah, they provide homes for animals and things like that. Um, yeah, that's how I give thanks.
One way that I try to give back to Mother Earth is, well, I grew up in a family of tree huggers. So, and we have a cottage up north. So sometimes with the older and taller trees, when they start dying, we will plant new ones to replace them. And then I try to pick up litter as much as I can.
I give back to Mother Nature by helping keep her clean.
Me and my family give back to nature every summer by going to the Six Nations Reserve to my grandparents' property and planting as many trees as we can.
I give thanks to Mother Earth by constantly grounding myself and using the method of grounding by walking outside barefoot in the grass, and then I connect with her, I ground myself, and then I also meditate outside whenever I can. Obviously I don't get to as much in the winter time, but when it's nicer out, I like to meditate and give thanks outside. And then I also do my due diligence by keeping her clean. I don't litter, I compost, I use the recycling, and do all that stuff whenever I can.
Lots of ways. First, I think the first thing is to be thankful, uh, to be here and to be thankful for the earth and what it gives. You may or may not know I'm a tree hugger, and so my one small thing that I do is I love to hug trees, but it's more it's a connectivity. It's a health for me, but it's also um, giving thanks and respect to the to the earth. And also when practicing, for example, if I am smudging myself or an environment or a home or whatever, then I take the sage that we burned and give it back to the earth to say thank you. Um, it started on the earth. We've used its therapeutic piece and its gift that it gave to us, and then return it as a thank you for being able to have that gift.